students. You know that atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere are parts of the earth that form the biosphere. The sum of physical and biological factors and their chemical interactions is called the environment. The components in the environment are interdependent and have mutual influence to maintain a balance in nature. Human activities show several negative effects on the environment. Cutting down forests would bring harmful changes like pollution in the atmosphere and affect organisms and global health. Various kinds of substances and byproducts have been released into the environment, causing significant changes. Any undesirable change in the physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of the environment is called pollution. The substances that bring about undesirable changes are called pollutants. Learning objectives. After the completion of this lesson, you will be able to know types of pollution, effects of pollution, ozone depletion, global warming, acid rains. Keywords: pollution, pollutant, eutrophication, chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, aerosols, greenhouse effect, acid rain, let us observe the concept map of the pollution and its effect. Hey children, do you remember air pollution and water pollution studied in your earlier classes? Apart from air and water pollution, there are other kinds of pollution too. What are they? Watch here. The other types of pollution include land pollution, noise pollution, and radioactive pollution. In this topic, we mainly focus on the effects of pollution like ozone depletion, global warming, and acid rain. Before that, know about some important aspects of various types of pollution. Any human activity that brings about significant changes in the atmosphere is called air pollution. Activities like coal combustion produce sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and small amounts of carbon dioxide that function as air pollutants. Let us look at the common air pollutants, their sources, and their effects in the given table. Now, it is time to know the control measures for air pollution. Industries to be established away from towns and cities. Emissions from industries to be checked and controlled. Automobiles are checked periodically to improve their efficiency and minimize emissions. Use of unleaded fuel and biofuels must be encouraged. Educating the public to bring awareness about pollution and preventive measures. Water pollution. The major sources of water pollution are effluents from industries, accumulation of sewage, and extensive use of pesticides and fertilizers in agriculture. High phosphorus content of detergents and fertilizers allows rapid growth of organisms and results in decreased oxygen content. This may affect the aquatic organisms and an aquatic ecosystem and is called eutrophication. Pollutants like lead, arsenic, and fluoride combine with hydrogen, oxygen, iron, and chlorine in water, resulting in the poisoning of groundwater. Control of water pollution. Industrial effluents must be treated to remove pollutants and toxic chemicals. Acids and alkalis must be neutralized and metallic compounds must be precipitated. Effluents coming from furnaces must be cooled to room temperature and treated before being released. Sewage water must be treated to remove suspended particles, aerated and chlorinated to purify water and can be reused. Every year, billions of tons of cans, bottles and plastic items are discarded and only a small fraction is reused. The remaining are either burnt or dumped into open lands. Such places are turning into breeding grounds for insects, rodents, and other pests polluting the land. Land pollution is also being caused by agricultural runoff with fertilizers and pesticides residues. Acid rain caused by air pollution contributes to land pollution, affecting the acidity and fertility of the soil. Noise pollution. Sound is an essential part of our life. Any sound which causes unpleasant effects and discomfort to human ears is called noise. Any sound with an intensity of above 100 dB is harmful to human ears. Noise has become a source of pollution affecting humans and animals. The major sources of noise pollution are the gadgets used at home like mixers and grinders, transport vehicles like aircraft, commercial and industrial machinery, and loudspeakers in social and public events cause noise pollution. Noise pollution directly affects the human nervous system, causing deafness, headache, high blood pressure, and heart disorders. Radioactive pollution. Radioactivity is a phenomenon of emission of alpha, beta particles and gamma rays due to the dissociation of atomic nuclei of radioactive elements and causes radioactive pollution. Nuclear power plants, nuclear weapons, radioactive isotopes, and mining and refining of radioactive substances like uranium and thorium cause radioactive pollution. Radioactive materials react with biological molecules and damage DNA, leading to cancer and birth defects. Ozone depletion. The ozone O3 molecule is formed by 3 atoms of oxygen. Oxygen is essential for all aerobic forms of life, but ozone is a deadly poisonous substance. At higher levels of the atmosphere, ozone performs an essential function of preventing ultraviolet radiation from reaching the Earth's surface. Ozone at the higher levels of the atmosphere is a product of UV radiation acting on oxygen molecules. The higher energy UV radiation splits the molecular oxygen into free oxygen O atoms and combines with the molecular oxygen to form ozone. The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply since the 1980s. This decrease has been linked to synthetic chemicals like chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. These are used in insulating foams, solvents, and cooling equipment like refrigerators, air conditioners, and in fire extinguishers. CFCs are also found in various kinds of sprays used in our daily life called aerosols. In 1987, the United Nations Environment Programme UNEP agreed to reduce CFC production. The ultraviolet rays in the stratosphere break the CFCs into chlorine atoms. Chlorine reacts with ozone and breaks it into oxygen. What is the effect of ozone depletion? The thinning of the ozone layer allows high levels of UV radiation to reach the Earth. This causes sudden changes or mutations in the organisms, increasing the incidence of skin cancer and cataracts. It can affect growth and physiological functions in plants and animals, causing a serious imbalance in the ecosystem. It affects the atmosphere, disturbing the natural balance of gases and the carbon cycle. Global warming. Global warming refers to the rise in the average temperature of the atmosphere and oceans. Earth's mean temperature is said to have increased by about 0.8 degrees Celsius. The infrared rays released due to the heating of the Earth by solar radiation are trapped by some gases in the atmosphere. This results in an increase in the atmospheric temperature and is called the greenhouse effect. The gases responsible for this effect are called greenhouse gases. Human activities like the burning of fuel and clearing of forests have caused global warming. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, methane, and to some extent ozone are the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Global warming has resulted in the melting of glaciers and an increase in the sea level. This results in submerging of lands and affects both aquatic and land life. Acid rain. Do you know that normal rainwater is acidic? It has a pH of 5.6. Rainwater with a pH less than 5.6 is described as acid rain. The oxides of sulfur and nitrogen combine with water vapor, forming sulfuric acid and nitric acid, precipitate as rain, snow, or fog. The main sources of these oxides are the combustion of fuels in industries. Acid rain affects all forms of life. It affects egg production in aquatic animals and alters the population ratios. It can affect vegetation since the soil becomes acidic and leaches the nutrients in the soil. Acid rain is harmful to humans, causing skin allergies and respiratory problems. Acid rain also affects old buildings and monuments and damages metal and stone structures. Summary of the lesson.